Having said that, let's talk about the first board of today's class, which is this one. Very, very interesting, right? What is this? I have replaced in last class, basically we have here our Python script.py, right? But now I do not have Python script here, but I have pasted a diagram here, and I have written that on the diagram that this is the postman. And there is a guy who is slightly tilted. This is the symbol or basically logo of this postman tool. Believe me, this tool is going to be very, very useful. Why useful? Because we can test many APIs with this tool. The tool name is Postman. What is the meaning? Now we do not have Python script. We have this tool, and this is a great UI-based tool, right? Through which you can initiate the request. The request is going to be in RESTCONF, and of course, this request is using the HTTP or HTTPS, right? It means that whatever you can do with your Python script, some of the things can be done by Postman. At the end of the day, we will be doing a network automation from Python script, but Postman is there so that we can quickly test a particular API. What is the meaning? The meaning is, of course, if we have this router, we all know that this router offers multiple APIs to us. It could be CLI. Now you cannot argue with me that the CLI is not an API. It is. SNMP is another form of API. You all know that. As I mentioned in yesterday class, that basically we have netconf, right? And we have RESTCONF also, which is another form of APIs, right? It means that Cisco people have worked on it and they are giving us the APIs, which is the standard language, right? So basically this API understands REST config or RESTCONF messages. If anybody is sending the RESTCONF messages to this router and this router is capable of doing RESTCONF, this router knows about RESTCONF message. It means that you need to enable RESTCONF on this router, which is very, very easy. I will let you know. But if you have enabled RESTCONF, it means that you have enabled RESTCONF APIs. It means that this router or this server can understand the RESTCONF requests. And if it can understand the RESTCONF request, if that request is to configure something on this router is going to obey that. If this request needs some information from this router is going to reply that yes, the message was the request was obeyed, and basically here is your data. It is as simple as that. So what is changed in this overall thing? The only thing which has changed is actually the client you are using to test this API. I'm just saying test. Why? Because if I want to do some logic, then of course I will be using Python script, and I will showcase you with both the things, right? My Python script can be a client and my Postman UI, which is an application, can also be a client in RESTCONF configuration communication. It is as simple as that, right? So as I discussed yesterday, everything is going to be same. We will be using RESTCONF. Why we are choosing RESTCONF to explain as a first protocol to showcase on you to showcase all this thing on demonstration. And the reason is that RESTCONF is based on HTTP. Most of the guys understand HTTP, GET request, post request, put request. We all know about it. If you don't know, that is perfectly fine. But we understand that if we open a browser and if we access a particular website, then we are actually sending the GET request, and basically server is responding response us back with a reply, and the reply we can showcase on our browser. It is as simple as that, right? Similarly, as RESTCONF use HTTP and HTTPS, we will be utilizing it. It is as simple as that. So RESTCONF is the protocol. RESTCONF was the language. You all know Yang was the grammar and JSON was the script. I will showcase you all three things in today's class. Okay. Having said that, let's move to the next board. That for our demonstration, what steps we are going to do, right? So from here, you must understand that at least we should be having this iOS XE box, which supports RESTCONF. First thing first, right? How we are going to get it, I will let you know, right? And then we should have this Postman also in our system. So I will be showcasing you step by step that how you are going to download this Postman and how you are going to use it, right? I'm not saying that I cannot use it. I cannot do the same demonstration using the Python language. I will be doing it for sure. But let's see the Postman, and I will showcase you some of the benefits of Postman. I'm not saying that it is much more useful as compared to Python script, but yes, to come up with some of the APIs, to come up with some of the syntax, we need some time the Postman. It is going to be very, very useful tool under your belt. Having said that, let's see the next board. So step number 1 of our demonstration is we need to arrange iOS XE router. And believe me, Cisco has arranged this router for us. How? Cisco has many labs which are actually always on. So because this programming thing or the DevNet thing is uh, uh, comparatively quite new, Cisco wants everybody to test it. And how everybody can test it if they do not have the image of latest Cisco software, which supports network programming, which supports netconf or restconf, right? And that is why Cisco has few labs which are always up and running. Anybody without any VPN connection, if you have just the internet connectivity, I will be showcasing you the same thing, right? If you have internet connectivity, you can get to those routers which are there for you and which are maintained by Cisco, right? So here I have some example that this is the always on lab of Cisco iOS XE router. They are going to give you one router, cloud services router, and then basically it is always up. Anybody can log in into that router. It is as simple as that. And where exactly it is available? It is available at this URL. It is as simple as that, right? So let's see in action that where exactly you are going to find it. So I am opening my browser. Let me fetch my browser from. Okay, so let me make it a little bit big. And what I'm doing here is I am searching on internet, and you can do the same thing. iOS XE, iOS-XE always on sandbox. And the first link, whatever you got, is this one. And here you go. If you can see, here is, I will showcase you. So basically, if you can see, we have Cisco iOS XE. This is the latest code. And basically you have the old one also, means 16.9.3 version we have here. So we will be taking this one, 16.11, right? So if you click on it, if you just click on it, interestingly, it is taking me to this page. Very, very interesting. So it is saying that, guys, you have iOS XE router available right here, okay? Which is running the latest code 17.9.2. Here it is saying, right? And now the question arises how you are going to access it. So they have given all the information necessary to access this router. So basically doesn't matter where you are. If you have connectivity to internet, you can connect to this host. This is the domain name of the router, right? Very, very interesting. And then basically they are saying that you can connect it over the SSH port. It is having netconf enabled on this port. It is having RESTCONF also at port this one. We are interested in this one, but you all know that SSH basically you can do SSH also, and netconf works on top of SSH. So this router is enabled with both the protocols, netconf as well as RESTCONF, right? So there are two approaches now for you. If you have this iOS XE code available where you can enable netconf and restconf, then what you can do, you can just copy this image into your EVE-NG machine, into a specific folder, and all know, if you do not know, just see my videos that how you can run a particular image of iOS software, right, inside EVE-NG, how you can copy it. It is very, very easy. Just copy it, and if you are able to do that, then basically you are going to have this router up and running. But I know most of the people afraid of doing all these things, and I am giving you the ready-made solution. In fact, I am not giving this solution. Cisco has the solution up and ready for you so that you can test your network automation skills. You can test the capabilities of Cisco's new device, right? Very, very interesting. And of course, they have the username as well as the password. Everything is ready for you. Everything whatever you need is right there. And I want to showcase you that you can access this using putty, right? So I have opened this thing, and what I'm doing is I am just pasting the name of this box, which is right here, sandbox iOS XE, and I am saying just open. And really interesting, it is shown. I need to make it a little bit big. So what I can do is change setting. Let me clean the board. And inside the change setting, I want to go into this one and change the font from here to here, making it bold. Okay, and apply. Guys, can you see the font clearly now?
Yes, yes,
Perfect.
Vishnu.
So basically what I'm doing here is I am just log in as admin because this is the name which is recommended by Cisco. It is right there. Username should be admin. And password I'm giving is C. Then basically after C, this is not I, this is 1. And then SC0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I do that, sure enough, I have access, right? And then I can do show IP interface brief to check what are the interfaces are here. So from here, I just want to let you know that your setup is already up and running, guys, right? Uh, if you want to create a setup like this, where there is one router, CSR router, which is having the capability of netcon as well as doing RESTCON. So the server part is already done. You do not need to worry about it, right? You just need to worry about your Python script now, right? Or maybe another client, which I would showcase you today, which is the Postman, which can send a request. So the big part is already done. It is done by Cisco. You are responsible for these things. The client portion is your responsibility. Whatever you want to do, you can do, right? So setup wise, we are absolutely pretty good. No issues. Okay. Now the question arises that how we can enable, and that is going to be my step number 2, how we can enable RESTCON on this router, right? So believe me, this router, whatever we were talking about, this one, right, which is Cisco Sandbox router, it has already, it is configured already with RESTCON at port 443, right? And username is this one and password is this one. Do not worry about it. So server side configuration is done. In fact, it has the netcon protocol also, right? But suppose if you are interested in creating your own setup at the server side also, means you have your own router image, then you need to enable the RESTCON. And if that is the case, then how you are going to do it? Believe me, there is only one command. There is one config mode command. That is it. And what is that command? You just need to go and write RESTCON. And that is it. Very, very interesting. You just need to write this. And if you write this, your router is up and running with this RESTCONF APIs. Now you can make requests to these APIs and these APIs are going to respond. As simple as that. Right? So it doesn't matter if you want to use Cisco setup, Cisco Sandbox router, or if you want to use your own, the configuration is going to be simple. So we just want to check, we want to just confirm that our Sandbox machine, which we just opened with the help of this putty, right? Where exactly that is? Here it is. I just want to check that whether this command is there or not. So let me check it, right? Show run, and I want to see in the running configuration whether I have any command which include this RESTCON, right? I think you all understand this one, right? We out of show run, I'm interested in just finding the command which include RESTCON, and here you go. The command is right there. It means that basically Cisco engineers who is responsible for managing and maintaining this router on the sandbox, they have configured the RESTCON for us. And you all know that RESTCON work on HTTP, right? It means that we all know that if you want to connect to this router, basically this router should have HTTP enabled also. Why? Because RESTCON protocol work on HTTP. We all know that, right? From yesterday's class. So I am pretty sure that whenever you enable RESTCON, it should configure the HTTP server also on this router. So let's see if I do show run, and I'm interested now in seeing whether HTTP is there or not on this router. And sure enough, you can see that we have basically enabled IP HTTP server, and it is not enabled by us. When we configure RESTCONF, because we all know RESTCONF just cannot work if that underlying transport is not there. Why? Because RESTCONF use HTTP. So when we enable RESTCONF, this command should be automatically configured. What are these commands? IP HTTP server and basically IP HTTP secure server. It is as simple as that. Really, really interesting. And of course, you should be having, if you are creating this on your local setup, then you should be having the username and password also, admin, which is, and then basically whatever you want to have the password. So I'm showcasing you side by side both the setup. If you want to use Cisco Sandbox iOS XE machine, which is a simpler setup, you can do that to play around. But if you want to create a full-fledged setup, means that 5 or 6 machines are there and you want to configure them through RESTCONF or NestConf, believe me, it would be great if you have your own setup, because Cisco is just giving you only this one machine or one iOS XE server. It is as simple as that, right? So by this time, we should be done with the first 2 steps. We are done with the server side, right? Why? Because Cisco has solved that problem for us. We already have this router already available to us, which is running netconf as well as RESTCONF. In today's class, we are only interested in RESTCONF, so we will be talking about it, right? Let's talk about the next board. What extra things which we are going to need if we want to demonstrate whatever we have learned in last 2 classes. So we have step number 3 and 4. What is these step number 3 and 4? We need to install Postman tool. Exactly what this Postman tool is. Basically, Postman tool is to test the APIs. And I'm not saying that this tool can be used only for testing RESTCONF. No, it can test many other things, right? RESTCONF is actually for network devices. But this Postman tool can do various things. If you want to test API, maybe with respect to network, maybe with respect to some other things, you can test that with Postman. It is just like a client. You can simulate your request, whatever you want to send to a particular router, and it is going to send back, right? So basically, it is behaving just like your Python script, but it is UI based, and it is going to increase your confidence because you can see everything in UI that your request is going and everything is coming back, right? And how you can create those requests, you can actually see in this Postman, and then you can use the same request in your Python script. I will showcase you that, right? So what is this Postman, guys? This is just a client, right? Which can simulate some of the experience of testing the API, or basically we can actually test the API, right? I can give you another example that if you are curious about Postman. So suppose, and it is not suppose, it is actually there. You all understand that the Google has Google Maps, right? And this is the application. Very, very interesting application. You just open the map and then basically you just set the destination and it is going to showcase the way, right? It has the embedded GPS in it also. Very, very interesting. But have you ever wondered that if you use Zomato application, which is a food delivery application inside in India, which is a very big food delivery company now. So if you see this application here, what exactly it does, whenever you open this, right, this Zomato application, actually, if you have your location enabled, it is going to fetch that location and it will say that you are right now here. And if you order something, it will definitely showcase you that what is the location of the delivery boy. So do you think that how Zomato is getting all this information? How Zomato is actually getting the information about the location, right? What is the distance between you and that delivery boy? How it is doing? Believe me, at the back end, it is actually utilizing the services of Google Map. And how? It means that Google Map has opened some windows to this map, and that window is just nothing but the API, right? Application Programming Interface. So basically from Zomato app, you can request whatever you need, right? That you need the location, you need the route, whatever you need, you can get, send the information, request it, and it is going to send you back, right? Because if somebody has done this work, then why Zomato needs to implement the complete system? These Google Maps know many applications are utilizing this APIs, right? How you are going to test these APIs that these are working or not? Believe me, Postman application is there for you, and it is very, very easy graphical user interface. Interesting, right? If you have, guys, questions should come. Believe me, in Hindi class there are so many questions, right? So if you have means any type of question, any type of question which is coming to your mind, please do ask, right? Do not hesitate that uh, we are not sure that how intelligent that question is, because we are not judging anybody intelligence from these questions. We just want that you should ask questions, because if you ask question, then that is the beauty of this online class, right? Basically online, and which is available to you. The trainer is available to you. So Mr. Gomati has question. Gomati ji, please do ask question.
Yeah, yes, sir. See, RESTCONF is it's require HTTP, right?
Yeah.
Then the security portions, like so that is actually a question mark, right? So anyone can access, and not for this lab. Just I'm just asking for the production environment.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're opening a RESTCONF configuration in the XE router, right? So anyone can access, right?
It's a good question. It's really a good question. But believe me, I am saying this is HTTP, but at the end of the day, we are working it over HTTPS. So whatever you are sending your messages, right? These are encrypted. So no issues with respect to that. But I totally agree with your point that router is open, right? Although you are encrypting the message using HTTPS, but what about the router? Anybody can make this HTTPS connection, right? Believe me, I haven't told you about that information, but whenever you make this HTTP request to this router is going to ask you, who are you, right? Do you know the credentials? So basically, username, password should be there. If you do not have this information, then basically it is saying access denied. It is as good as you are logging into this router using SSH or whatever, right? And now this username and password can be local on this system, or can be fetched from the Active Directory, or maybe another a server, right? So the security is not compromised at all, Mr. Gomati.
Okay.
The communication between your client and this router is highly encrypted, HTTPS. If you are using bank, if you are so sure about the security is there. But again, when we log in into this router using HTTP also, it is going to ask me whether you have enabled whether you have the username or password. And I would like to showcase you this, right, from this putty. If you see right here, if this connection is still here, your connection is there. So if I again run this command, show run include IP HTTP, what exactly it is saying? It is saying this command also enabled IP HTTP authentication local. It means that if somebody is coming with this request HTTP or HTTPS, right, it is going to be authenticated with local username and password. And that is why I'm saying the local username and password should be there. I think it is clearing your doubt, Mr. Gumti, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Now I had seen another hand raise, but I don't know who was that. Please do ask your question, whatever the question you have in your mind. Anybody? Okay.
Okay. So one more question. Sorry. Postman is actually a freeware tool, right? It is not a.
Yes, correct. You are right. It's not paid.
Okay.
But basically, for many, there are whatever we need, it is free. But the Postman tool has some significant things which they are selling also. Okay. So basically, some
because when we are using when we are using some kind of tool in the corporate world, so they definitely will look for the security, right? So we cannot use a freeware version in the corporate world.
You do not have to. You do not have to. You just I am just showcasing it so that you can play around with the APIs.
Okay.
Okay. And believe me, at the end of the day, we will be using the Python script. But what should go as a request in the Python script, right? If you want to quickly check, right? Suppose your Python program is showcasing error and you are not able to get it. So just try to run that request into the Postman and check whether this request, what it is actually returning. So this is the quick way of checking the API's behavior. That is it, or testing the behavior. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Prakash has some question. Please, Mr. Prakash, do ask your question.
So this enabling HTTP or HTTP server is just for admin access of accessing this router or device.
Yeah, so for anybody. Basically, see, on your router, you can have multiple username and passwords, right? I have mentioned use local username or password to authenticate, but you can You can specify the TechX server also, right? Or basically anything else. Whatever the security mechanism you are using, it is not changed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Like if in case we disable this no IP HTTP, like if you are giving, the inside the router, there will be no like it will not run any web services like
Yes.
Kata or something. So even though that is turned off, this RESTconf will work.
No. As I mentioned, that basically the transport for these netconf messages is actually your HTTP or HTTPS. If the transport is not there, netconf is not going to work.
But are this router going to respond for this web request?
Yes, it is going to be, but in the form of a netconf messages only. So basically, you
can
are
we try disabling also and try?
Definitely, I will do that. I will do that. Okay.
I am thinking like if it sends from curl or some other command, it doesn't require web access.
No, if you are sending curl also, it is actually your HTTP request, and if HTTP is not enabled on the server, or then basically it is not sending back anything.
Okay. Yeah, just do a test.
Yeah, definitely we can have a test for this. Okay, so maybe it can create the problem. For example, as soon as you write anything in netconf, right? If the netconf message is going out, then definitely what is going to happen, it is trying to initiate the SSH connection. If you are sending the RESTconf message, it cannot go unless you have the communication. It is as good as in the last class we were talking about the two persons are talking, right? And the medium between them is air, right? Although they have a pretty good protocol like language, like English, it doesn't make any sense if we do not have the medium between them, if we do not have the transport between them. If air is not there, then basically English cannot communicate from here to here. Okay.
I am still thinking for a management purpose, there will be different service, and for this internal communication, there will be different HTTP requests.
Maybe,
so
maybe you are right. I haven't tested, but we can test it for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Because I think what they will do in production network, they will write an access list and allow only the particular IP address for this kind of accessing device.
Yes. Yes, but we can test it, and maybe if the time doesn't permit, you just disable the and try, because right now we are going to test on Cisco's router. So they say that do not change the configuration, whatever is on the router. So basically, I will showcase you on my personal setup this thing, right? Don't worry about it. So now the thing is that how we can see whatever we just learned in the action. So this is the time of demonstration. So first thing first, what I'm going to do is I know that the server part is done. We already have this server. Server means router, which is configured by Cisco, and netconf protocol is running on top of it, right? At port number 443. 443 is just nothing but HTTPS. So what we need to create, this part of the setup is done. We need to create the part, the client part. The client part can be .py. I will showcase you that too. But first thing first, I am showcasing you the Postman, right? And the Postman, how you are going to use Postman to basically initiate the not netconf. Extremely sorry, this is RESTconf, to initiate the RESTconf connections. Okay. So first thing first, let me take you to this board, not board, to the browser. And basically what I'm going to write here, download Postman. Okay. So if you do this, then basically there is a page there, and because my system is Windows 64-bit, I have already installed it. So you just need to save it, right? And here is the exe file, which is going to be there in your downloads folder. And sure enough, I have downloaded it various times, right? Because I was showcasing the same thing to other classes also, right? So what is happening, guys? I have installed the Postman, and now I am going to open the Postman application. It looks like this. Okay. So basically, I have disabled or deleted everything, whatever was there before, because I have showcased some a few things too in the previous class. So what I am doing, just try to understand. Server side, router side is done. Router has RESTconf already enabled, right? No doubt. We know the host name of this router. We know the username. We know the password, right? What I'm doing here is I am working on the Postman UI. This is the UI, whatever the white color thing you are seeing, right? This is the Postman UI. This is the software, right? What I'm going to do here now, see, I will be generating some requests from here, right? Suppose I am interested in knowing all the interface status, right? The same thing which I can show from show IP interface. I'm not saying show IP interface brief. I'm saying show IP interface. It is going to showcase me that basically this is up and up. MAC address is this one and so many things. Input, packets, output, whatever, right? You all know about it. So if I send such kind of request, then basically its router is going to respond me, right? And it is going to respond me in this format, JSON format, right? What is the JSON? JSON is kind of a script, just like we have a script of what? English language, which is Roman, Hindi language, which is Devanagari, right? This JSON also makes some sense. Why? Because it is modeled through Yang. Yang is just kind of a grammar. So basically, I just want to say that router is not going to send you message like this. Rahul banana loves eat too, right? No, that doesn't make any sense. It maybe the correct structure is Rahul loves to eat banana, right? Very, very interesting. So basically, if we have this Yang is the grammar of the JSON, which is understandable by this router, and that is why it is sending the JSON reply of all the interfaces, whether these are up or not. So basically, I have to inform Postman all these things, right? That what kind of message you can accept, because the API can return back in XML also, right? Or in YAML also. These are all the scripts, right? But suppose I am interested in knowing what is the JSON version of it, right? I just accept, this Postman just accept that I am interested in JSON. So basically I can inform the router that please send everything, whatever the output you are going to send me in JSON, right? And I will showcase you this JSON file. It is very, very easy, right? I need to check that how we can generate this request, whatever is going to send by this Postman, right? And the question of Mr. Gumti, the security, where is the security? And that is why basically we will be sending the username and password. So what are the things we need to configure on this Postman? First thing first, we need to configure what is my username and password for this server. As simple as that, right? The second thing is, and this is what we call as authorization, right? The second thing, what we are going to configure here is, basically, I want to let Mr. Router know that send me in the format of JSON and use the language of Yang, because I understand Yang. And I presume, and because everybody knows that the Yang is the grammatical language, so basically this router already understand it. So it will be sending JSON, but the rules of the arrangement of these, whatever you write in JSON is going to be by Yang, right? So I need to inform it. And the third thing is going to be, I need to send the netconf or get request for whatever the data I request, right? I'm requesting the interface data. So I need to do these three steps, and that is it, right? So basically, it is not the case that I can send only one request. I can send multiple requests. One request for host name, one request for all the interface data, one request for IP address on the data, and so on. But how and from where we can take out these requests, right? How we can create these requests? I cannot memorize the HTTP URL, right? Believe me, everything is written. You just need to copy and paste. But you need to understand what is going on behind the scene. So we have this tool. First thing first, what we are going to do, we will be creating the workspace. The meaning of, and by the way, guys, if you have installed, whenever you installed or install this application, which application? The Postman application, the workspace is already created for you. Okay, I am creating the workspace. The meaning of workspace is just the name where you are going to create your requests, right? So the name, suppose I am giving, is network automation. And believe me, when you install this software, there is a default workspace for you, and the name is my workspace or my work group, whatever you have, right? Summary, you can say whatever, right? That this is the workspace in which I will be writing automation script. Okay, perfect. Maybe it's going to be personal or for the team, whatever you like. Create work group. And sure enough, it has created this work group for you, which is, or workspace for you, which is network automation. Now, as you all know, we will be sending multiple requests, not just the one. I will showcase you 3 or 4 requests today, right? Request number 1, request number 2, request number 3. So basically, this is my request number 1, 2, 3, 4. If I want to save them, how I'm going to save them, because I do not want to again and again send the request. I will be saving them, and whenever I want to use it, I can use it, right? So this is this way this tool is really great. So I need to create a collection which is having all these requests, right? So now what I'm going to do is I will be creating a collection. I am creating this new collection and I am renaming it. Basically, this is my iOS XC collection, and inside this I will be adding a request. Very, very interesting, right? What is this request? These are going to be HTTP requests, right? So I am just calling this request, I'm just giving this request a name that tell me the interface, sorry for this, interface status, right? These are just the name, nothing special, right? But now, as I mentioned, that first thing first, we need to configure the authorization, right? And here I am selecting the basic auth. And
I don't know, the screens are stuck. Is it only for me?
oh, is it? Okay, can you just
The
see?
screen is screen is visible only with the new collections. That's it.
Can you see this interface status? Can you see my pen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then
Now it is.
Yes.
okay. So basically, I will showcase you that what I have done till now is I have created this workspace network automation, which is very, very easy. And then basically I have created this collection and I will have so many requests here. The first request I'm naming is as interface status, and that is it, right? But what I'm going to do now, this is, I am creating my postman, right? And this router needs what? Username and password. Okay, whenever I send request, username and password should be there. So basically I'm configuring this authorization here, right? If you can see right here is the authorization block. Okay, so I am going here and choosing the basic auth, and then basically it is going to give me admin. So basically I have configured it for previous classes, and that is why it is showcasing me. But you need to configure it, right? In username you need to give admin, and password you need to give the password. And you all know the username and password of the sandbox server. I am giving the username and password of the sandbox server, which is right here. It is very, very easy, no doubt about it. Now basically we need to define that what kind of response we can accept, right? And what and that is what we call the header definition. So I am deleting everything. So right now what I want to do is I want to actually create the header definition, right? So I am going into this header, and it is already have 6 or 7. Do not touch them. Let's create another one which is saying content type, first thing first, and the content type should be this one, application, and you need to write here yang -data and then plus basically your JSON. It means that you are saying that basically JSON data, which should be using this yang -data or basically yang model, and then accept you are doing the same thing, application, you can accept this data, which is yang -data plus JSON. Perfect. So we are done with the 2 steps. Now the interesting thing is, what should be my URL? So you all should know that the URL should be HTTP. We are doing the GET. We are interested into the interface statistics or status. We are doing HTTPS, and then this and now the name, right? So I have copied the name. I'm pasting the name here. What is this name, guys? This is the name of iOS XC sandbox router. It is as simple as that, right? Now the interesting thing which I am going to give you is basically you need to write this URL, right? And from where it is coming, I will let you know, because we still do not know how this URL is going to be created. Okay, we do not know about how JSON will be looking. We do not know about what is the yang model. But why I am giving this practical class before explaining all these things? And the reason is, although we do not know the nitty-gritties of these, but we all know that Yang is the grammar, JSON is the script, right? So basically, I will be sending this GET request, right, from my postman to the router, which is the Cisco sandbox router, and then basically which GET request I'm sending, this GET request. And basically whatever I'm saying after this RESTCONF, this is specific to RESTCONF. This will be understandable to this router only. Why? Because we have enabled API, RESTCONF API. Very, very interesting, right? Although I am sending the HTTP request, just try to understand HTTP is the protocol which is going to take this message, but inside this protocol, we are having another protocol which is netconf, which is understandable to this router. Why? Because we have enabled the RESTconf on this router. If I am saying, if I by mistake saying netconf, please believe me, whatever we are doing today is on RESTconf. It is as simple as that, right? So now all the three things are done. What were the three things? First thing is the authorization, right? We should you should have the username and password. The second thing is basically you should tell the router that I can accept JSON messages which are in the which are structured using Yang. We have defined it in the headers. We have defined this authorization username and password here. And the last thing is creating this request itself, which we have just created. We are done with this is the only setup required. Believe me, guys. Okay, and now I am ready to basically send this request to my router. Okay, sorry for this, again and again I'm doing the same mistake. So basically you can see here there is a send button also. Let me showcase you. So here is my URL and this is my send button. Let me send it. So I am sending it and let's see what is happening. Very, very interesting. I will showcase you by making a little bit big here. So router is replying this in JSON format. I'll tell you some of the things basically what has happened behind the scene. So when we run this command here, this one, or this basically this is the URL. When we write it here and send it, it is going to this box. And inside this box, we have RESTconf enable. Router has seen this request that, okay, this guy want to know the interface status of all of my interfaces, right? So it is sending the reply, and that is why it is sending status 200 okay. 200 okay ka matlab, sorry, 200 okay means basically everything is fine. Router has received, or the server has received your request, and it is sending it back 200 okay. You all understand, right? How much time it takes to get this output right back? It's 2.35 seconds. Size of the response is this one. Very, very interesting. And let's see the response, right? So basically we are saying the JSON response, and just try to understand how interesting the output is. And by the way, this output is pretty long. It is not for gigabit 1, not for gigabit 2. It is for every interface on the router. And this is kind of my format of JSON, right? So if you see here, very, very interesting output JSON. It is saying the name of the interface is gigabit Ethernet 1. The type of the internet, the type of this interface is this type. Admin status up, operational status is up. Last change, whoever has changed it, is at this time, right? If index means what is the index of your interface, which is 1, so it is written as 1. Physical address means MAC address is right here, speed is right here, and then so on. We have unicast packets, how many unicast packet, broadcast packet, and whatever, right? This is for gigabit 2 also, for 3 also, or basically whatever the interfaces we have on that router. Very, very interesting. And try to understand, is this kind of same thing that suppose I was on a router, and if I do show IP interface, what it is going to give me? It is in the first line, it will say that the line protocol and this is up and up, right? Then it says the MAC address and so many things. Believe me, the output of this command line was more closer to the user or the human being, right? But here, See the output. It is really more structured. It is not just the output of show IP interface. It is something different. Maybe when you are asking this request, the router, because router has received this on the RESTCONF interface, and you all know many developers were building this RESTCONF, right? Maybe what they were doing is they were getting the show IP interface output once we receive this, and they were changing whatever the output into this form, right? Previously, using NetMiko, there was no option. Whatever the command line output you had, you were just copying or saving this output in a particular file. Then you were using regular expression, right? And then you were making dictionary. Believe me, now you do not need to do all those things, because the RESTCONF APIs are sending you the output in this form, right? And believe me, this form is very easy. This JSON is very easy to understand by the Python. Python understands JSON very well. In a single line of code, you can convert whatever you are receiving in the form of dictionary. And if you get the output in the dictionary format, you know that Python can work on this dictionary. You can create your for loop. You can make any logic, whatever we have discussed in our Python classes, right? And eventually we are going to do that, right? This Postman is just to showcase you that, see how easy it is. If in your Python script, if you send this request in the in the RESTCON format, basically your router is going to reply with the JSON format, and your Python script can easily tackle with it. Very interesting. Command line were more closer to you, but now the output, whatever sent by this router, is more closer to your program, although this output can be understood by human beings. So JSON is a type of script which can be easily understood by human being as well as machine, right? Previously, whatever the output you were getting from the command line, that was not friendly to your program, that was friendly to you. And that is why you need to do a lot of steps like regular expression. Then you need to come up with a particular word, and then basically you are creating the dictionary. We have seen that, right? In those 3 classes where we were making programs in basically using NetMiko. It is as simple as that. Try to understand. We are getting output here in a format which is understood by Python. Interesting, right? Anybody has any doubt, please do ask your question, because your question is really important. Okay, now what I will do is I will showcase you that if I change this URL, right, it is going to give me different kind of outputs, right? Now suppose I am interested in knowing, right, what are the IP addresses configured on these interfaces, right? Suppose all the interfaces. So what I will be doing is, and I will showcase you another example. I am deleting this and I am entering something else, right? And you must be thinking that what this host is. Believe me, you do not need to write this host name again and again. Why? Because maybe you can create multiple GET requests here. And if you are doing that, you need to again write the same thing again and again, right? So what we can do is we can create this host in a, create a variable for this host, right? It is very easy. Just do a create variable, right? And what you are going to do is in this host name, you are going to put the host name of your router. It is as simple as that. Let's put it right. Here you go. And then select the scope, means I want it to be available in this collection only. Then set variable, right? Now, basically, if you click on this, whenever you send this request, this host will be replaced by what? This host will be replaced by your actual host name, because you have defined it here, right? It is as simple as that. Now, I have changed that I am interested in knowing the whatever is configured on the interfaces, right? And now I am sending this request again. So see the output this time. This time the output is slightly different, right? Because I want to see the configuration. Response is good. Basically, I'm getting the response in just 1.5 seconds. And now see the output. Very interesting. I am saying that this is my gigabit Ethernet 1 management interface. Don't touch me. Who has written this? And believe me, everything is there, right? I will showcase you. If I open this putty and Sorry for this. This is gone. I need to duplicate this session or maybe restart the session. And here you go. What I would like to showcase you this time is that this is actually this router. So I'm doing admin. Password is my C1SC012345. And if I do this, sure enough, and if I do show run interface gigabit 1, then it is going to showcase me the description management interface, don't touch me, and exactly I'm getting the same output, right? But see the logic, try to understand. Basically, this is really, really interesting. It is saying name is this one. Don't you think that this is matching some data type which we have learned in Python? It is actually matching to the dictionary, right? What we have in dictionary? Inside the Python dictionary, we have key and value pair. So if I have name, just try to understand this is the key and what is the value. So if I say if I want to access what is the name of the interface, I just need to say name, right? And it will be showcasing me the value, just like whatever we have. And believe me, we can convert this into the Python dictionary very, very easy, right? I can see that there is a question from Mr. Gomati and Mr. Prakash too. Mr. Gomati, please ask your question.
Yeah, I have two questions. Maybe it's so early.
Uh-huh.
We are using only one devices, right? So if I want to use multiple devices at the same time,
definitely this is slightly early. I will be working on
it.
Okay. Do not worry.
Okay. And second one, this also may be so early, and this one is only so we are just pulling out the configuration from the devices. What I mean, if I want to push some configuration to the devices,
we can. So basically, see, right now I am in just a tool which is there for testing. Although it is showcasing me to put and delete also some of the configuration. We can do that, right? But that things we are going to do from the Python. Why? Because Python is going to give us so many things, right? I will be showcasing you the same program. Believe me, same program I will be showcasing you with Python also after this. Mr. Prakash, ask me the question. Please ask the question.
So in the get request, whatever you are typing, right? There is HTTPS, this one. So where you are getting is this common for all IOXE file? Routers?
Not only for IOSXE. It is common for XR. It is common for Juniper router. It is common for any other router also, if they support Netcon. If they support Netcon.
Okay, so
sorry, not Netcon.
These commands. Okay, so these commands, whatever it's available in easily in websites, right? Or
yes, these are, and where to get it? Don't worry, I will be letting you know. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay.
So because you all understand that nobody can basically learn this command, and it is available all the times in their mind, right? So there must be some database.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Prakash.
So the another one is like so you told in something like background Python is required. So to run this Postman, do we need a Python?
No,
also install. Okay.
This is slightly different. Basically, maybe this program is written in Python for sure, and your Ansible also, right? Because we can do. But it doesn't.
So this is online program.
This is the online, not online. Basically, this is as I mentioned, that you need to download the installer file. You need to install this program into your system, and then you can do all these things.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect.
By the way, I tested that one without no HTTP. It didn't work out. I did along with you.
Oh wow, that's great. Yeah. That's great.
Okay.
Perfect. So what I can do now is I would like to showcase you the same program using Python also, right? So what I'm doing, let me explain you on the board first, and then we can. So you all know that there is no doubt about it. So Mr. Prakash, where did you change? Did you do no HTTP server on Cisco router?
Yeah, no HTTP server I did, and
on the sandbox server. On the sandbox server.
Yes.
So basically, can you just yeah,
I can. I revert it back.
Or you revert it. That is perfectly fine. So right now, what I'm doing is, see, previously we have this router from Cisco Sandbox, right? RESTCONF is working perfectly fine on it. We all know we have the username, we have the password. But now, instead of doing Postman, I will be writing a Python script, right? So what this Python script should contain? First of all, username and password should it should know. It should know in which protocol, in which port number your RESTCONF or HTTPS is working, which is 443, right? And it should also tell in the request that the Python script is going to accept JSON data, but this JSON data should have a unique structure with, or basically structure or logic, which is guided by Yang, right? So we need to inform all these things to this Python, right? But the problem is at the router, RESTCONF is developed by many engineers, but in I have alone here, right? So what I need to do, I need to have the client. Client for what? Client for RESTCONF, and that is the client which is available as a library or module in Python, right? And the name is request. It is as simple as that. So what I need to do, I need to install first request module. And once I have this request module, my Python script is a full-fledged program, full-fledged RESTCONF client. It is as simple as that. I will be installing one more module, which is rich print, or which is rich. What is the meaning of rich? So basically rich is the library or the module, right? Which gives us the flexibility to showcase the JSON file, right? Try to understand. See, if I go again to the Postman, okay, and here is the Postman, and if I see what is the preview, means this is actually what is sent by the router, right, in the raw text. But if I see pretty means basically in the JSON format, it looks like this. How I can able to print in this manner in Python? So believe me, there is a module in Python which we can install, right? And that is, the name is rich. So if I use this rich module in printing, then basically I can see the same structure, whatever it is showcased by the Postman. So I think you understand that what do we need in the Python script. So here you go. I will be showcasing the script to you, and basically I do not need it, by the way. Yeah. So I will be explaining the line by line of this script. See, we have imported request. What is this request? Request is actually the RESTCONF client. It is as simple as that. I have downloaded this rich also, right? And you need to use pip. Pip means Python package manager. You need to install request to run this program, as well as rich. These are the two modules which you need to install using pip, right? And then basically why I'm using rich, because I want to showcase you the nice output of JSON, right? I should have the host where I will be connecting. This is my sandbox host. What is the port? 443. What is the user, admin, password? This, you all know about this, right? And here is the hidden information which I would like to give. Why? The reason is I want to let router know that I'm interested in JSON data, which is encoded, which is structured using Yang. Yang is a data modeling, right? Just like our grammar. We have mentioned this in Postman also. And now I am making a URL here, right? What is this URL? HTTPS host port, and you all know that we have the same kind, right? What I'm getting here, I'm getting the interfaces of the sandbox router. So this is my URL. And now just try to understand. Same thing I was doing with the Postman, and how easy the same thing here also. I have this request object which has come from request library or the module. And when I put the dot, you all know the Python this much, right? It will showcase me all the functions which are available in the request, right? As an object. And this is the function which is the get request, which asks for the URL. And I have the URL, right? This one. I have it asks for the header, that what information you are interested in which format, right? I am sending the authentication parameter, username and password. And this last thing is, whenever you connect to HTTPS server, it is going to send you the certificate. I am saying that I am not interested in verifying the certificate. That is it, right? And now I am, whatever the response the server or the router is sending, it is going to be stored in this response variable. And I want to print that. I'm saying printing the JSON data written by the IOSXE router, and that is going to be in response. Believe me, I'm not using print here. I'm using rich print. Why rich print? Because if I use rich print, then I can use this function that basically whatever the response I'm getting, it showcase me in the JSON format so that I can read it. If I do this print, it is going to showcase me in the raw format. That is it, because print is not intelligent enough, and that is why I'm installing rich module. Very, very interesting. I request everybody to please run this program, right? You just need to create this, right? That is it. And now what I'm going to do, I am running this program. Just have a, okay. So let's analyze the output. First thing first, it is saying me that server is sending a certificate to you and you are not verifying it. Why? Because I have mentioned verify is equal to false, right? So it is warning me. So these messages are just warnings, right? It is saying it would be great if you add the certificate, and it is strongly advised, right? But my output starts from here, right? From where? You all know that I am printing this line. Okay, this is too much. I am printing the JSON data returned by this one, right? So basically here, printing the JSON data written by this, and then response. And in response, sure enough, I am getting all the things. Same way, exactly same way, just like Python, sorry, just like Postman. As simple as that. Very, very interesting, right? So I request everybody who is present in this class to just have a look at it, just try to run it. Now, let's go back to our board, and we are done with the today's class, by the way, right? But I would like to let you know that what we are going to learn in next class. Now we have a solid understanding basically of RESTCONF, how it is working using Postman, and even with the Python script. Now we want to go little bit deeper where we want to understand what this JSON is, what this Yang is. Although we have a overall knowledge that Yang is just like a modeling language or the grammar, and JSON is just like a script, like Roman, right? But we need to understand this script a little bit, not much, because otherwise it is, as I mentioned, it is just like an ocean. So when we started the network automation course, I said that my journey, or I will be with you from starting 15 to 25 kilometers. The remaining journey of 100 kilometers, if you are interested in that, you can do. But these are now solid step. You can understand any program. So we will be understanding little bit of JSON, little bit of Yang, and then basically this structure of RESTCONF, that how we can, and from where we can get these URLs. We will be understanding netconf also, because today's class was totally dedicated to RESTCONF, which is pretty easy also, you must be thinking, right? And it is easy. And that's what I said in the last few lectures, right? Netmiko is not the way to forward. Netmiko is there to just automate the previous device or the legacy devices, right? But all the new devices which are coming, right, supports RESTCONF and netconf. Believe me, those are very, very important. And this is where the future is moving, right? Automation is moving towards these APIs, and that is why Cisco wants to test everything, right? And there is a full infrastructure they have opened. Having said that, this is what I intended to explain in this class, right? See you in the next class. But I request you to be on the call for some more time. I will just stop the recording, so please be on the call, right? So have a nice night ahead. See you in the next class. Bye for now.